Hello, everyone. So, today we're going to be talking about a character who is in just about every comic books. Well, the name of the character is in just about every comic book publisher ever. And we, of course, are talking about White Rabbit. Now, DC has their version. Now, we ran with the one who's a little bit older with the White Rabbit of Marvel Comics. Now, White Rabbit is created by J.M. DeMatteis, Kerry Gammill, and Mike Esposito. And the character first appears in Marvel Team Up number 131, July 1983. Now, normally, the White Rabbit is a reoccurring antagonist of Spider-Man, but she is also a wealthy criminal who bases her supervillain persona on the Alice in Wonderland book, mainly based on the White Rabbit of the tale. Now, being born from a wealthy family, Lorena Dodson, who would become White Rabbit, grew up in a safe, secure, and overall wealthy environment, and was showered with all the material possessions that a person could ever want. However, she was bored and only found entertainment from classic literature. As she grew up, her family married her off to an older gentleman named Lewis Dodson, which is also a name derived from the author of the Alice in Wonderland books, Lewis Carroll, whose real name was Charles Dogston. Now, at the time of marriage, she was 25 and he was 82. However, she resented being treated as a trophy wife, so for whatever reason, she decided to unalive her husband, and even though it looked pretty obvious, the police thought it was an accident. After this happens, she would only mention that he, quote, died happy, and subsequently used her inheritance to buy various gadgets so that she could experience a life full of danger and excitement. She becomes the White Rabbit, an eccentric criminal whose costume resembles a cross between the literary character from Alice in Wonderland and a Playboy bunny. Now, while the White Rabbit is clearly insane to the point of being completely, obviously ridiculous, she is quite articulate and has a great knowledge of literature overall. Now, most of the time, she uses an array of carrot bombs or mutant rabbits, as well as stealing only watches, saying that that's her calling card. Now, she spends her first days as a criminal robbing various fast food joints, most notably Quickie Burger. She and her gang were eventually confronted by Frogman. He happens to be a frequent customer at the Quickie Burger, who was able to defeat her hired help only with Spider-Man's aid. Now, White Rabbit escapes, but is struck later at a book fair where she found the two superheroes once again. The White Rabbit, witnessing her men getting defeated, fled using her jet boots, but they, however, began to malfunction, allowing Frogman to knock her into a building. Now, much later, she resurfaced, plotting to get her revenge on Frogman. She allies herself with the Walrus, but they were defeated by Spider-Man, Frogman, and Frogman's father, Leapfrog. Now, ditching the Walrus, she pops up again later with two new villains, the Mad Hatter and Dormouse, though they were actually just hired actors, as no other supervillains would work with the White Rabbit. She formed a new plan by capturing Grizzly and Gibbon and ransoming them for $1 billion in gold. She also created several genetically altered rabbits who were ready to eat Grizzly and Gibbon. The mayor, however, only offered the White Rabbit $2.50, which caused her to fly into a rage and raise the ransom to $5 billion. This time, the rabbit demanded that the ransom be paid entirely in quarters. But Spider-Man, under the alias of the Bombastic Bagman, as he was currently wanted for unaliving, was forced at that time to use an alternative costume and lacked the time to get any of his other costumes. Now, he infiltrates the White Rabbit's hideout and battles her giant rabbit robot. She was then knocked out by Grizzly, who claimed he did it because he would not be accused of being sexist. He and his partner had escaped, remembering Gibbon's natural affinity with the animal kingdom and thus taming the GM robots. Now, White Rabbit was later on seen at an auction in which the Venom symbiote and Scorpion's suit was sold. She tried to rob another bank but was interrupted by Grizzly. However, she escaped and the police arrest Grizzly by mistake. Now, in the limited series Claws, the White Rabbit became romantically involved with Arcade, and this is a man with a dedication for drama and who controls unalive worlds where people are unalived in a carnivalesque type way. Now, they go after Wolverine and the Black Cat, and the two heroes manage to defeat Arcade and the White Rabbit. However, they are dropped off in the Savage Land, which is, in the Marvel Universe, a prehistoric land hidden deep in the Arctic. And ironically enough, during her stay there, the White Rabbit becomes queen of a group of tribal warriors. Now, during the Dark Reign storyline, White Rabbit appears as a member of Hood's gang. She is part of a subgroup of said gang that attacks Mr. Negative because he will not hand over his control of the criminal underworld in New York's Chinatown. Now, the White Rabbit is next seen in Los Angeles, where she is working as a dealer to the rich and famous. Now, one of her clients is Bobby Carr, Mary Jane's boyfriend at the time. Carr is also an actor and is using the mutant growth hormone to bulk up for a movie role. Now, the rabbit turns on her client when the U.S. Department of Justice wanted him to inform them who the dealer is. Now, White Rabbit and her gang attack Carr and MJ at a trendy Los Angeles nightclub, gassing the partygoers. Now, during the Dying Wish arc, White Rabbit later makes a cameo at the raft at the time when Hydro Man, Scorpion, and Trapster spring Dr. Octopus, who at the time his mind was swapped with Peter's mind, out of the raft. Now, White Rabbit was then seen trying to rob a truck with two goons, but when the superior Spider-Man, which is the Dr. Octavius version that's inside Spider-Man's body, arrives, they quickly surrendered, as they did not want to be beaten in the same way he had previously did to both Boomerang and the Vulture. White Rabbit later appeared as a member of the Menagerie, which consisted of Hippo, Skine, and new villain called Pandemania. Now, they were on a rampage stealing expensive eggs from an auction. White Rabbit named the group the Menagerie because of the villain's animal themes. White Rabbit and the rest of the Menagerie later reunite to commit a diamond heist, which led to another defeat at Spider-Man's hands. Now, shortly after that, White Rabbit next hires Howard the Duck to procure Pym particles, but the plan is totally foiled by Ant-Man. And later on, she participates in a gang war, battling the Spot in the 3rd Precinct. Now, in the all-new, all-different Marvel event, White Rabbit allies with Walrus and the new Gold Bug for a plan that involves tampering with New York City's drinking water. The three villains are located and defeated by Spider-Woman and are taken to the refurbished Rikers Island, now called the Cellar. White Rabbit later appears as a member of the Hateful Hexad alongside Bearboar Guy, Gibbon, Ox, Squid, and Swarm. During the Hateful Hexad's disastrous fight against Spider-Man and Deadpool, the battle is crashed by Itsy Bitsy, who brutally unalives or incapacitates most of the villains. This traumatizes White Rabbit, who was saved by Deadpool. Now, in a prelude to the Haunted storyline, White Rabbit is among the animal-themed characters captured by Taskmaster and Black Ant for Kraven the Hunter's upcoming Great Hunt. Now, when Vulture gathers the animal-themed characters together, White Rabbit was present when Spider-Man informs them about the loss of Gibbon and Mandrill, while Toad mentions the loss of Man-Bull. Serving as bait, White Rabbit lures the Hunterbots towards the Savage Six and the other animal-themed characters, where the Hunterbots were attacked by them. When Craven the Hunter has Arcade lower the force field around Central Park, White Rabbit is among the animal-themed characters that are freed. Rabbit then joined Human Fly, Razorback, Toad, and Yellowjack in a plan to deliver payback to the captive Black Ant, only for Taskmaster to rescue him. Now, Rabbit later got Hippo, Skyne, and Pandemania back together as the Menagerie, while adding Ox, Squid, and Swarm as its latest members. When the Menagerie tried to rob a club where Nadia Van Dyne's birthday was, they were defeated by the Champions and the Young Avengers. White Rabbit even appears as a member of the female incarnation of the Sinister Syndicate, which is also similar to the Sinister Six. However, these are all female. Now, the Sinister Syndicate begins their missions where they attack the Feast building that Boomerang is volunteering at. Beetle leads the Sinister Syndicate in attacking Boomerang, and after getting Aunt May to safety, Peter Parker changes into Spider-Man and helps Boomerang fight the Syndicate. Now, Spider-Man accidentally sets off Boomerang's gas-rang, which knocks him out enough for the Syndicate to make off with Boomerang. When Beetle returns to the headquarters, White Rabbit is present with Mayor Wilson Fisk, demanding that they surrender Boomerang to him. The Syndicate then assists Spider-Man against Mayor Fisk's forces. After Spider-Man evacuates Boomerang, the Syndicate is defeated and arrested by the police, and however, their transport is then attacked by an unknown assailant, who then frees them. Now, as far as powers and abilities go with this character, White Rabbit possesses no superhuman abilities, but is obsessed with the works of Lewis Carroll, and her equipment reflects her obsession. She uses a range of various weapons, such as an umbrella that shoots razor-sharp or explosive carrots, a large, rideable, heavy-armed robot rabbit, genetically engineered killer bunnies, and sometimes even jet boots. Now, White Rabbit also owns 2 custom modified vehicles, a Zeppelin called the Flying Hare, and a van called the Bunny Mobile. Additionally, White Rabbit is well educated, having at least a Bachelor of Arts degree in literature, or at least its overall equivalent. She is also a skilled martial artist. Anyway, this is what we know of the character, the White Rabbit. You guys have a wonderful night, a good morning, a great evening, whichever. Please like, share, and subscribe. We really do appreciate that. Also, leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think of this video, as well as if you have a character that you would like us to do on this channel, let us know and we'll see if we can't make a video of that character. As always, Excelsior. Listen.